In 1828, a boy appeared on the streets of Nuremberg, Germany, confused, silent, and carrying a secret no one could explain. His name was Caspar Hauser, and his existence would raise questions that still haunt us today. Who was he? Where did he come from? And what does his story reveal about the world we think we know? If you've ever felt that reality isn't quite as solid as it seems, you're about to find out why you were right to wonder. Because the truth is, everything you experience, your memories, your senses, your very identity, might not be what you believe it is. Every sound you hear, every object you see, and every thought you have passes through the same hidden filter, the perception of the mind. And the more you look closely, the more you realize that what you call reality might just be the greatest illusion of all. To understand how deep this illusion runs, we have to start at the very beginning, where meaning itself is born out of nothing. 1. The strange arrival of Caspar Hauser. In 1828, a boy appeared out of nowhere in Nuremberg, Germany, confusing everyone. His name was Caspar Hauser, and he could barely walk, barely talk, and had no idea what the world even was. Locked away in darkness for almost his entire life, he had no exposure to anything, no people, no language, no mirrors. Yet in a matter of months, Caspar built an identity, learning words, beliefs, and even adopting a personal history he had never lived. The mind, desperate for meaning, quickly filled in every blank space it could find. This strange story is more than just an odd event in history. It's a massive clue about the illusion of reality we all live in. Caspar didn't just learn information, his mind created a past, a personality, and a version of the world from scratch. It makes you wonder, if someone can build a whole self out of nothing, what about us? We've been fed information since the moment we opened our eyes, shaping our perception of the mind, the world, and ourselves without even noticing. Think about it. When a baby is born, he doesn't know he's Brazilian, American, or German. He doesn't know about money, politics, or even his own name. These things are fed into his mind day after day until they solidify into truths. Caspar Hauser's story cracks open the door to a wild possibility that what we call reality isn't something we discover, but something we assemble inside our heads. It's like building a house with materials you never even questioned where they came from. And if that's true, if reality can be so easily manufactured just by absorbing whatever surrounds us, then what does that say about the nature of the self we cling to so tightly? Maybe, just maybe, the foundations of who we think we are way shakier than we realize. And that's exactly where we begin to question if this illusion of reality has been fooling us since the very beginning. 2. Your reality is a story written by your brain. From the moment you're born, your brain starts stitching together a version of reality without asking for your permission. It's wild when you realize it. You didn't choose your name, your language, or your beliefs. You inherited them. As a blank slate, you absorbed whatever your parents, your teachers, and your society handed you. And just like that, the illusion of reality was installed inside your mind, so smoothly that you thought it was the truth from the start. Your brain isn't showing you what's real. It's showing you its own internal story, based on past experiences, memories, and learned patterns. Like a movie editor cutting scenes together, your mind organizes information in a way that makes sense to it, not necessarily in a way that's true. If you were born somewhere else, under a different sky, you'd believe completely different things without a second thought. That alone shows how fragile the nature of the self really is. Take a second and imagine if you woke up tomorrow speaking a different language, surrounded by people telling you a completely new version of history. How long would it take for you to start accepting it? Not long at all. This is why awakening consciousness isn't about adding more knowledge. It's about questioning the foundation of the story your brain has been feeding you since day one. Questioning what you've been programmed to believe is where real freedom starts. When you realize that your brain's version of reality is just that, a version, you begin to loosen your grip on everything you thought you knew. It's no longer about chasing facts to prove your story right. It's about seeing how easily that story could have been written another way. And once you see that, the cracks in the illusion of reality only get wider, pulling you toward an even bigger realization. 3. You never experience the present moment. Here's a crazy thought. You're always living a few milliseconds behind reality. Every sound you hear, every color you see, every touch you feel has already happened by the time you become aware of it. Your brain needs time to decode all that information, and in doing so, it delays your entire experience of life. So when you think you're reacting to the now, you're really reacting to the past. Welcome to the hidden glitch inside the illusion of reality. The mind hates gaps, so it fills those tiny delays with predictions. Based on your past experiences, it guesses what's happening and patches the moment together without you even noticing. That's why sometimes you swear you saw something that wasn't there, or heard someone call your name when no one did. It's not magic, it's the perception of the mind trying to stitch up the holes in your timeline like a clumsy tailor rushing a job before anyone notices. This glitch opens up something huge. If you never really live in the real present, how much of your reality is actually based on direct experience? It's like watching a live concert on a slow internet connection. You're always catching up. And the scary part is, you're so used to it that you don't even notice it happening. Awakening consciousness starts when you catch your mind in the act, when you see how it fabricates the smooth flow you think is your life. A simple exercise. Next time you're sitting quietly, notice the delay between a sound happening and your reaction to it. Train yourself to observe the lag without trying to correct it. It'll feel weird at first, like watching yourself in a mirror with a second's delay, but if you stick with it, you'll begin to sense the shocking truth. The present moment you cling to so desperately might just be another part of the illusion of reality. 4. Life as a dream. You haven't woken up from. Have you ever had a dream so vivid you were convinced it was real? Maybe you were flying or talking to someone who's no longer alive, and at the time, it made perfect sense. Only after waking did you realize it was all fabricated by your mind. Here's the unsettling part. Your waking life isn't that different. The perception of the mind builds a world so detailed, so consistent, that you rarely stop to question if it's actually real. When you dream, your brain generates sights, sounds, emotions, even the flow of time itself, all without any real external input. Scientists have shown that the same brain regions light up whether you're dreaming or awake. That means your mind doesn't really need reality to create experiences. It only needs itself. Awakening consciousness is realizing that what you call reality might just be a longer, more believable dream you haven't noticed you're inside. Think about how dreams can shift without warning. You're in your house one moment and on a beach the next, and somehow it all feels normal. In waking life, the shifts are just slower and subtler, but they're there. Friendships change, goals fade, memories blur. If reality were so solid, why would it behave like a dream, constantly morphing behind your back? Maybe the nature of the self isn't to cling to what is, but to learn how to surf these shifting sands. Here's something you can try. During your day, ask yourself out of nowhere, am I dreaming? Notice how strange it feels to even ask the question. That's because the illusion of reality is designed to make you forget you're inside it. The more you practice questioning it, the closer you move toward awakening, toward realizing that life isn't as solid as you were taught to believe. 5. The self you believe in doesn't exist. Most people walk through life with the absolute certainty that they are a fixed self, a solid entity moving through time. But when you really look, that sense of self starts to crack. Neuroscience shows that there's no single center in your brain pulling the strings. Instead, millions of different processes fight for attention, like a busy marketplace where voices shout over each other, creating the illusion of unity. The perception of the mind stitches all these noises into a single thread, and you believe it's you without question. Imagine for a second that your mind is like a committee, and every emotion, every thought, every impulse is just a member shouting suggestions. One moment you're confident, the next you're filled with doubt. One second you love someone, the next you're frustrated with them. If the nature of the self were truly solid, why would it change so easily from moment to moment? Awakening consciousness is realizing that the I you defend so fiercely is just a mask built from whatever voice is speaking the loudest at any given time. You can even test this for yourself. Try to predict your next thought. Try to hold on to one feeling for a full hour without any change. You'll quickly notice you can't. Thoughts pop up uninvited, feelings shift like the wind, and decisions arise from places you can't see. The illusion of reality makes it feel like there's a you behind the wheel, but really, it's more like you're sitting in the passenger seat, thinking you're driving. Understanding this breaks the chains of identity that secretly keep you trapped. If the self you believe in doesn't exist in the way you thought, then who or what is actually living your life? This question doesn't end at philosophy. It seeps into your everyday actions. When you start observing the movements of your mind without owning them, life begins to feel lighter. You're no longer a character caught in the script of survival. You start to taste something deeper, something that the mind has been trying to hide all along. 6. Your mind filters and hides reality from you. Your senses are taking in far more information than your brain lets you experience. It's a hard pill to swallow, but your mind actively deletes most of what's happening around you. Take the famous gorilla experiment. People were so focused on counting passes that they missed a man in a gorilla suit walking right through the scene. That's the illusion of reality in action. If your mind can hide something so obvious, what else could it be filtering out without your awareness? The perception of the mind isn't about showing you truth. It's about building a clean, predictable story that keeps you functioning. Your brain picks and chooses what matches your beliefs, your expectations, your past experiences. If something doesn't fit, it quietly gets tossed out like junk mail. Imagine trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing, and not even knowing they were missing to begin with. That's the reality most people live inside without questioning it. And it's not just vision or memory, it's your whole experience of life. If you've ever argued with someone about what really happened, and both of you remembered things completely differently, you've seen this trick firsthand. Two people can live through the same event and walk away with entirely different versions of reality. Awakening consciousness means seeing that what you think is the truth is just the filtered version your mind allowed you to keep. It's humbling and it's freeing. Try a small experiment. Spend a day noticing not just what you see, but what you don't. Pay attention to the tiny things your mind usually skips over, the cracks in the sidewalk, the hum of machines, the faces you normally ignore. The more you practice this, the more you'll realize your mind has been hiding an entire universe from you. And the more you see through the filter, the closer you get to touching the real nature of the self, something far beyond what thought can ever capture. 7. Beliefs are invisible chains. Every belief you carry feels like something you chose, right? But take a closer look and you'll see most of them were handed to you before you even knew how to question anything. You were told what's good, what's bad, what's real, what's impossible. Over time, these beliefs became invisible glasses through which you see the entire world. They feel so natural, so obvious, that you forget you're even wearing them. And that's the trap, the illusion of reality built on unquestioned beliefs. Imagine if you were born in a different country, raised by different parents, speaking a different language. Would you have the same values, fears, dreams? Of course not. You would be a different you, shaped by different invisible chains. That's the thing about the perception of the mind. It molds you silently, like a river carving a canyon. Awakening consciousness isn't about rejecting everything you've been taught, but about finally seeing the heavy fingerprints of conditioning all over your mind. A practical way to start noticing these invisible chains is to question one belief you've never questioned before. Pick something simple like success means working hard, or life is supposed to be a struggle, and ask yourself, where did I get this idea? Is it even true? You'll be amazed how slippery these foundations are once you poke at them. Books like The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz can help you start pulling at these threads until the whole web begins to shake. The danger is not that beliefs exist. The mind needs them to function. It's that you mistake them for reality itself. And when you're trapped inside a story without knowing it's a story, you live like a prisoner with invisible walls. But what happens when you notice the cage, when you stop mistaking the limits of your conditioning for the limits of reality? Well, that's when you start to sense a different kind of freedom calling you closer. 8. Awakening. Becoming the watcher of the mind. There's a shift that happens the moment you stop believing that every thought, every feeling, every reaction is who you are. It's subtle at first, like catching a glimpse of something out of the corner of your eye. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. You realize that you're not the storm of thoughts swirling in your head. You're the open sky they pass through. Awakening consciousness means stepping back, becoming the silent awareness that notices everything without getting caught in it. Most people live their entire lives like they're trapped inside a movie, reacting to every scene as if it's real. But when you become the watcher, you step out of the screen and into the audience. You see the perception of the mind for what it really is, a never-ending play. When anger rises, you notice it without becoming it. When fear tries to grip you, you feel it, but don't let it drag you down. This space, this distance, is where real freedom begins. Not control, not domination, just pure seeing. If you want to practice this, start with something small. When you get annoyed in traffic, instead of diving into the story of why you're frustrated, just observe the frustration. Label it gently. Ah, there's irritation. Then watch how it fades without you needing to do anything. Meditation practices like Vipassana can help sharpen this skill until it becomes second nature, until you start living more and reacting less. It's not about suppressing thoughts or emotions. It's about no longer being owned by them. And here's the magic most people never get to experience. The more you become the watcher, the less solid the illusion of reality feels. The walls that seem so real begin to shimmer. The self you thought you were starts to dissolve. What's left isn't a vacuum. It's a kind of peaceful aliveness, always present, always free. And maybe, just maybe, that's when the real adventure of existence finally begins.